was within the USA. What happens outside USA? Outside USA, they were very clear in US that we essentially rely on our taxpayers, honestly. Whatever you tell me that you, as a US person, you have invested outside USA, I will accept whatever you say. That is how it has been. You know, the honesty belief is already there in the place. But like every country has people on both sides of the law. They thought about it that there are still people who are not disclosing all this information. So hence, they came up with civil penalty for the people who do not disclose all this information. Naturally, the civil penalty was imposed and a criminal prosecution. Under the civil liability, naturally interest and penalty is levied. But they also brought the criminal prosecution in the process, saying that we will put you behind bars if you are done it willfully, if your intention is to create some fraud, right? Tax is imposed on the income, which is everywhere just like what we have in the world. US, North America is a continent, correct? Yes, no? Okay. It's one of the biggest countries. They have 50 states. So, the way the tax has been imposed on the income, it is one at the federal level, that is as a country as a whole. Then, each state also levies its own tax. So it's like within a big continent, there are small countries which are nothing but the states. They impose their taxes. And then there is also something called city taxes. You know how many states in America which does not have taxes? I've written it. There are only 2 of them, Nevada and Maryland. They do not have any tax levy at the state level. Otherwise, all the remaining 48 states have their own tax. The people who have attended any of my previous seminars don't answer this question. Do you know how many sections do we have at the federal level? Anybody, anything? Okay, let's come on to the easy side of it. Indian Income Tax Act, how many sections we have? 294. The last I checked. Am I right? Okay. Anybody who knows how many US sections we have? In the federal, forget about the state. Come on. I know we gave D also away. 600. Anything more? Yes, sir? Come on. Yes? No? It's 9,834 sections. Only at the federal level. 9,834. Only at the federal level. So, when I was trying to explain it to you guys, that at the federal level, there's a tax that is imposed. Then at the state level, again the tax. Again, the state taxes, each state has its own tax. Now you look at the implications of it from a person who is living over there. Suppose if a person, like in my own case, when I was working over there, I was living in Jersey, New Jersey. I was working in Manhattan, which is New York City, indirectly in the New York State. So when I was filing my own tax return, I have to file federal, right? Big country as a whole. State of residence being New Jersey, so I have to file for New Jersey. The source of income was from New York, so naturally the source state is also going to levy me the taxes. So New York State is going to be, I have to file a New York State tax return. Like I said, there are some local cities also levy taxes. New York City has its own tax system. So I was filing 4 tax returns: federal, New Jersey, New York, and New York City. And this gets worse. Now think about the people who are investors, invested into different states. Think about how many tax returns the tax preparer has to remember, the tax law has to remember. You understand? What happens in that case? How do we get a credit for the people who will be like saying, you know, we have DTA treaties between India and one country and another country, and I said all states are nothing but like a country, according to me. So they should have some sort of an internal DTA treaty. It's nothing but they do have provided in the provisions itself, saying that we'll give you credits for it. The credits for at the federal level, you'll get a credit for the taxes that you have paid at the state and the city level. And at the state level, you'll get credit for the taxes that was paid at the city level. You know, one below next. Easy. So let us understand the individual tax culture in US. Okay? This is very important for the people to understand. If you are a US citizen, or a green card holder, or a resident alien. I'll put a small asterisk against resident alien. I'll define it in a few minutes. Your worldwide income is subject to US income tax regardless of where you reside. All the friends and family members who have any connections in US, it's just for them. Just make sure you make them very clear. You are required to disclose your worldwide income in USA if you are a citizen, US citizen, or a green card holder, or a resident alien. This also applies if you really read the things that I tried to underline, regardless of where you reside. Now, how many of you know people who are a US citizen or a green card holder residing in India? Just raise your hand. It's okay, not moving. Nobody? If the people is residing in India, a US citizen and a green card holder, then he or she is required to still file the US tax return. So far, when I was studying my CA, the thing that we all knew, income tax can be levied in which two manners? Based on the source, based on the residence. The 101 of our Income Tax Act, yes? When we start learning income tax, that's the first thing the professor who used to teach me at the classes or in the institute was telling me. Just understand the basic of income tax. It can be levied only at two places, either on the source or on the residence principle, right? Here comes the catcher in that. Let's take a simple example. Mr. A, who is a US citizen or a green card holder, has been residing in India, okay, for the last 8 years, and having a source of income from Singapore. He'll be liable to pay in which countries? Come on, simple, easy. In India, naturally because he's residing, yes or no? Yes. In Singapore, based on his source of income, correct? But here comes the catch. He is required to pay in US also based on his citizenship. How many people are aware about this part? How many of the friends and family members or the people who you meet over here are aware about the fact that they're still required to disclose it over there in US? Very few, right? Okay. Remember the small asterisk that I've done against resident alien? So let us understand who's regarded as a resident alien from a US income tax point of view. So first, in order to understand resident alien, let's understand who's a non-resident alien. Okay? A simple thing. So how is US defining a non-resident alien? If you're neither a US citizen, so by default, if you're a US citizen, you're out of the thinking gate, right? The thinking camp does not apply. You are required to disclose your worldwide income regardless of where you reside, right? If you're a US citizen. Or you're a resident alien. Who's regarded as a resident alien? They have come up with a 3 method. The second phase, the green card test. It's nothing but if you're a green card holder, you will be regarded as a US resident alien from an income tax point of view. So remember my initial statement that I put from an individual, a US citizen or a green card holder or a resident alien. You are required to pay the US income tax regardless of where you reside.